The absolute darkness descended, a suffocating shroud over the nascent worlds. Silence. Not the peaceful quiet of slumber, but the chilling stillness of an extinguished flame. The nascent worlds, moments before alive with the hum of creation, were no more. Their pleas for balance, once a vibrant chorus, were now a void. The crimson entity, once a beacon of Freya's indomitable will, flickered and died within the encroaching nullity. The obsidian eye, the last vestige of her defiant spirit, was swallowed whole, its defiant beam extinguished. The ancient shadow, a force of cosmic assimilation, had achieved its victory. Utter nullification. But was it truly the end? In the deepest abyss of this manufactured void, a faint, almost imperceptible tremor began to stir. It was not a sound, nor a light, but a resonance. A ghost of Freya's will, perhaps. A whisper against the absolute. The skeletal hand of the primordial horror, a relic of what once was, twitched, not in pain, but in a nascent awareness. From the dust of shattered existence, a single, impossibly small fragment of obsidian began to glow. It pulsed, not with light, but with a dark, defiant energy. It was a seed of memory, a spark of consciousness refusing to be erased. The ancient voice, the harbinger of oblivion, had declared victory too soon. It had consumed the form, but not the essence. Freya's will, fractured and scattered, was now reforming in the heart of the void. The tremor grew, a subtle vibration that began to warp the absolute darkness. Shapes, formless and indistinct, started to coalesce within the void, born from the echoes of what was lost. These were not worlds, not entities, but the raw potential of existence, stirred by the persistent refusal of Freya's spirit. The primordial horror, its skeletal form now shifting, began to draw energy from this nascent disturbance. It remembered. It remembered the pain, the betrayal, and the primal instinct to survive. The single obsidian fragment pulsed faster, its dark energy coalescing, forming a spectral, almost translucent replica of Freya's crimson eye. This eye, however, was different. It was tinged with the void itself, a reflection of the darkness it was born from, yet still burning with that unyielding defiance. It gazed into the abyss, not with fear, but with a cold, calculating resolve. The ancient shadow, sensing this resurgence, began to recoil, its absolute dominion momentarily threatened. It had expected silence, not a whisper of defiance. It had expected nothingness, not a nascent will. The skeletal hand, guided by an unseen force, reached out, its bony fingers closing around the pulsing obsidian fragment. It wasn't an act of destruction, but of preservation. The primordial horror, in its own twisted way, was now a guardian of Freya's fragmented spirit. The dark energy emanating from the obsidian eye intensified, pushing back the edges of the void. The formless shapes in the darkness began to solidify, taking on rudimentary, alien forms. The hum of creation, though faint, began to return, a dissonant symphony echoing in the void. The ancient voice, a guttural growl of disbelief, reverberated through the emptiness. Impossible, it hissed. Nothing escapes the nullification. But the obsidian eye pulsed again, a silent retort. It was not about escaping. It was about transformation. The nascent worlds were gone, but something new was being born from their ashes. Something forged in the crucible of annihilation, imbued with Freya's unyielding spirit and the primal hunger of the horror. As the obsidian eye flared with an unnatural intensity, a single, spectral tear seemed to fall from it, landing on the skeletal hand of the primordial horror. Where the tear fell, the bone began to shimmer, transforming into a material harder than obsidian, imbued with an ancient, terrifying power. The void itself seemed to ripple, not with the erasure of existence, but with the birth pangs of a new, terrifying reality. The ancient shadow, enraged, surged forward, its form solidifying into a monstrous, amorphous entity of pure void. It lunged towards the obsidian eye and the skeletal hand, intent on crushing this nascent defiance. But just as it was about to strike, the skeletal hand, now adorned with the shimmering, transformed bone, began to weave intricate patterns in the air. These patterns were not of destruction, but of warding, of containment. The void entity slammed into an invisible barrier, recoiling with a shriek that tore through the silence. The nascent worlds were gone, but a new battlefield had been formed. A battle for the very definition of existence, waged in the heart of absolute darkness. The crimson entity was gone, but Freya's will, in a new, terrifying form, had just declared war on oblivion itself. The question remained, could this fragile defiance, born of despair and ancient power, truly withstand the cosmic hunger of the void? Or was this merely the prelude to an even greater annihilation, a final, desperate gamble in the face of absolute nothingness?